Hey, hello, hi Sue and hi Paul. Welcome to the first inspirational Sunday sessions. And this is a space where we get to meet inspirational people from around the world that will talk to us about their craft in hope to inspire you and encourage us to drive through with the power of create and demonstrate the power of creativity and how it brings people together. So my first guest, I'm very honoured to welcome you. Her name is Bridget Boyle, and met Bridget Boyle not in person, but while she was doing her YouTube videos, and it was amazing because I was on a journey developing my singing voice because I wanted to get better doing jazz songs as I was putting my shows on my Facebook just for my friends. And yeah, so she really helped me with my vocals, and I, so grateful for that. So we're going to speak to her a bit more. So I welcome you, Bridget Boyle, everybody. Da, da, da. Hi, Bridget.
Hi, how are
How
you?
are you? Yeah, really good. How are you, my dear?
I'm good, thanks. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it turns out really lovely here. It was so cloudy earlier, but the sun is shining and it's great.
Summertime.
Yes. So, so I knew you from your live videos that you were doing, which were so great because I really loved how you had a different approach to singing with the
Hmm.
Bulgarian warm-ups and then you change it up every week as well. So we get to learn so much that you give to people, and you've really helped me with my voice, and I'm like,
Oh,
yes, and to help like with singing in your own style as well, which you do encourage, and yeah, so it's brilliant. So you start it did wasn't I right in thinking that you started that in lockdown? Did you start
yeah,
that in lockdown?
I did. I mean, I'd been teaching and doing the Unleash Your Voice sort of classes in person, and I had a choir that had started right before the pandemic went in.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just realized as soon as it became clear that I wasn't going to get to sing with the people around me, I'm like a little sad about it, actually, as I say that.
It's
Um,
heartbreaking though, yeah.
it was absolutely heartbreaking. I recognized that I needed to keep going, and I wanted to, I was like, oh well, there's the internet, and I'm going to be trying to warm up my own voice, so might as well jump on there and share what I'm doing. And then it turned into this. I was going once a week for a while, and then I started doing twice a week, and it's been really grounding and fun. And I've grown a lot, and I'm starting, like, I had never really actually had my own regular practice. I kind of
Right.
looked at,
Okay.
I was like rehearsing and writing, and that was sort of my form of practice. But doing Unleash Your Voice warm-ups has become this really central part of myself as a musician, and has helped me keep my voice in shape and grow, and then also connect with people all over the world. And that's been, I don't know, I came out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
it was really fun. It's been really fun, and I'm still
Yeah.
doing it, every Monday and Thursday at
Yeah,
9:30 a.m.
religiously. It's absolutely so inspiring. It's like, yeah, you're still there. Are you
Yeah.
carrying on? Oh, yeah, you are. There you go. Oh yeah, join in again. So that no, it's been brilliant. So how do you think how did your music career kind of shape up? Like since like what brought you into doing music?
That's a great question. So I grew up in a musical household. My mom is a singer and a songwriter. My father was a recording engineer. So I kind of grew up around music, and I took to it at a young age. My mom would have me sing backup for her, and I would spend a lot of time with my dad in the studio. So I was around a lot of music, and I got really into theater in high school, or at least I like thought I was really into theater, but like I never got
Right.
cast in anything. Like it was like I loved theater and I was like, I have this voice and this energy and I want to be on the stage, but I never got
Yeah.
cast. And I was always like put
Oh,
in the technical sides and like, and then when I was applying to go to college, I was like, oh, music, like music. And it just struck me that like I needed to be a musician, or that I was a musician. And it wasn't even that I needed to be, it was just like that I was a musician. And
mm.
I had been writing songs since I was 12. Like that was, I started writing when I was 12. And anyway, so I went to college, and in college, I took a Middle Eastern and Balkan music ensemble and fell in love with Balkan
Okay.
music.
So
And
this is where you get your Bulgarian warm-ups from, is it? Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
so beautiful. Yeah, really nice.
yeah. So it started that journey.
Mm,
I went to there's a Balkan music and dance workshop that is run by the East European Folklife Center. And so
okay.
I went there and I was like, oh, this is it. And so I auditioned for a group called Kitka, which is a women's vocal ensemble. I joined
Okay.
a brass band, a Balkan brass band, and then I did that for like 10 years. I'm still in
So what was
Kitka.
that like? Yeah, what was that like with the brass bands? So what was you
Oh, so
doing?
I played snare drum and sang. I
Okay.
was the lead singer of the group, and we did music from Serbia, Macedonia, a lot of
Mm,
Romani music, and some original, not my own original, but the band leader wrote some music that was sort of based on Balkan brass music.
mhm.
It was so fun. It was like playing in nightclubs and people just like freaking, like there was this whole thing that happened in San Francisco where people just like fell in love with Balkan brass music, and
Mm,
we had this band. And anyways, it was just the heydays. It was so fun. And through that, like part of the thing that happened with me in the brass band is like I couldn't be shy. Like I couldn't sit in the back. I couldn't be
mm.
quiet. I had to like sing over a 10-piece brass band. And
Wow.
I think that that process of like
Mm,
really just like bringing my voice from the bottom of my belly, like, and
mm,
just being out there and just like, boom, like singing really did something to me. It like really opened me up. It was
mm.
really impactful in my life.
Yeah, wow.
And then there's this other track of me, which is I'm a songwriter, right? And I write my own
Mm,
music. I express myself through my own words and my own playing. And I've released a couple of albums. And there was a period at which like I had been really, really focused on Balkan music and I loved it, loved it, loved it. And
mhm.
then I realized that like there was this big part of me that wasn't being held up and wasn't being acknowledged and wasn't there was no space for her.
Mm,
And at that point I was like, I need to try that. I need to like give myself some room to do this. So I've been balancing singing Balkan music and writing my own music for a number of years now. And
yeah,
it's been really cool. And I'm getting better at doing both.
yeah,
There was a while where it felt like one or the other, but I'm just recognizing that like I can be both things. I don't have to choose just one.
yeah, yeah, definitely. That I think as well. Like I balance a lot of things myself, like with DJing and singing, songwriting, and you don't have to stick at one thing. You
Right.
know, it's still music, it's still being creative, and with the videos and stuff like that. It's just
Yeah.
and variety. I think variety is the spice of life. You need to be able to change things up a little bit, surely.
Absolutely. And whatever way we need to express ourselves. I mean, there's like we're creative beings,
Mm,
like humans
yeah,
are by nature creators and
mm,
innovators. And part of how innovation and creation happens is by taking in multiple things, learning about each other, learning about other humans, and then sort of
yeah,
having our own story be born out of that.
yeah, definitely. Yes, that's yeah, definitely on the right. Well, I believe that too.
Yeah.
So you have your label with your dad. How did that come about? Working with your father. How do you find that?
Yeah. Well, I started working with him in 2000. No. sorry, long time ago, when I was 14. I was going to say 2014, but when I
Oh,
was 14 years old, so that was
oh
a long
wow.
time ago.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
became his second engineer. I worked on a couple of films with him. Starship Troopers was one of them, and
Mm.
Money Talk. Anyways, it was really, really fun.
Ah.
And then we, over the years, like he recorded or mixed a couple of Kitka albums, recorded and mixed a couple of Kitka albums. So we worked together on a number of different projects. And then we had a dear family friend that turned out to be a great songwriter. We'd known her for years and we just didn't know. And he was like, "Oh, I want to help this person make a record." And we were just going to do like one thing. And I like sort of produced the vocal kind of, or like whatever. There was like, we worked together to produce this record. And then from that project, he wanted the solo guitar player to make a solo record. And he
Right.
was like, "Oh, I guess I'm kind of making a label. Like, I guess this is
Yeah.
happening." And
Oh wow. So it organically happens.
very
Yeah,
organically.
that's great. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And when he passed last year, in 2019, the label became mine. And now, I'm really trying to re-envision, like to put my own mark on it and
Mm.
to lift up the kinds of artists that really inspire me. And I built a collective of musicians, and we're
Yeah, I
coming
saw
together to
that.
like,
It's brilliant. Yeah, because
it's been so fun.
it's kind of a similar path I'm trying to do. It's in it. I've been trying to do a label and like organically try and um, put it out. Yeah, work with people that inspire me so I can produce and that kind of flow kind of with that. So it's really, yeah, it's amazing how you've started that. And how did that just come about organically too with is it the Wax Collective, am I right?
Yeah. It was somewhat organic. So I tend to like, I have big ideas and then I like start them in multiple different ways until they finally coalesce into the thing that is. So
Mm,
a few years ago, I started a thing called the East Bay Musicians Alliance, and that was, it had a similar mission to it.
mm,
And we just didn't quite get off the ground. Like, we met a number of times and we were like talking about what does it mean to be a member, and like what are we doing, and how, like, we were talking about building a roster of all the musicians and engineers and studios and everything here in the Bay Area. Because part
mm,
of what I was seeing was like the independent music scene was really disparate, and like people didn't know how to come together. It was like very much like this kind of music over here and this kind of music over here and da
yeah,
da da.
yeah.
And what I wasn't seeing, there was a couple things that were happening. There's a thing called Balanced Breakfast that were like starting to kind of tie the community together. But I really wanted to facilitate people coming together, supporting each other, sharing resources, just like
Mm.
going against the capitalist model. Like, that's what I
Yeah.
want. That's what I want. And
Woo!
like, because
With
it's
you on that, come on.
music and capitalism, they don't go together. Like,
Yeah.
they really don't. And what does go with music is community, right? Like,
Mm,
and a network where you can learn from each other, share with each other, hold each other up. So anyways, when the pandemic hit, East Bay Musicians Alliance kind of like fizzled because
mm,
we weren't quite together. And then I
right.
realized, like, oh wait, I have a label and I don't want to do all this work by myself. Like,
Mm.
I love what I'm doing. I love that I get to work with artists, but like, I'm one freaking person who's also a songwriter and a vocal coach and da 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 da. So I reached out to some of my
Mm.
favorite folks, my close friends, that I've been making music with and hanging out with, and one person who I didn't really know very well, but now I'm like, wow, I can't believe like I made a good choice. Um, and
Yeah.
and
Isn't
we've
it lovely
been,
when that happens?
oh, it's so great. Yeah, and like, we're coming together. We held each other through the pandemic. We would like get on Zoom and like wax poetic about the music industry and about like how
Mm.
we could support each other. And we've got some releases coming up on the label and through the collective. So like, the collective, each artist has their own sort of career that they're doing. So as
Mm.
people are releasing music, the production company label sort of like lifts up what they're doing. But only one of the people in the collective is actually signed to the label right now and like is
Mhm.
doing a label release. So it's kind of a neat hybrid of like we're supporting artists and we're also like producing a record for an artist. So it's been really
Yeah,
fun.
brilliant. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Yeah. So, like, say if someone's watching now and they want to like follow you on YouTube, like, how can how would you explain your class?
Oh, my singing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so Unleash Your Voice is a couple of things. I have an online course that it's got pre-recorded content where people can build a regular singing practice, learn folk songs from Eastern Europe, learn some vocal techniques that I have been specializing in. And I also do the free live stream warm-ups, which are twice a
Mhm.
week, Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And they're really about like, I think there's something I'm really inspired by. This is kind of an off track thing, maybe, but
That's okay.
Adrienne Meshler, who's she
Right.
does yoga with Adrienne.
Oh yeah, yeah, she's fantastic, isn't she?
She's
Yeah, I
really
saw
brilliant.
that the other day. Yeah.
Yeah. So her whole thing is to like make yoga accessible to anybody, anywhere, at any time. So she
Mm.
has free yoga videos that are just brilliant, and they're simple. They're no, I don't know. They're just so humble and like great. So, anyways, I want to make singing accessible in that way,
Mm.
and I I I know that there's a lot of different like modalities of singing out there.
Mhm.
But for me, what I'm interested in is self expression. I'm interested in the healing powers of singing. I'm
Yeah.
interested in how can we sit within ourselves in such a strong way that our singing just happens naturally. Like, how can
Mm.
we access that nature and that? Because I find I think there's something to developing technique. Absolutely. Like, let's get good technique. Let's think
Yeah.
about how we're da da da.
Mm.
But more importantly, like, let's get down to the expressive part of it. Let's get down to
Mm.
the like feeling like you're inside of your body when you're singing, like I think so many
Yeah.
people take voice lessons and they're up in their head. They're like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do, which is
Mm.
fine. It's like we all are at where we're at. But for me, where I'm at and where I want to help guide people is to really finding like the unraveling that singing can do.
Mm.
Does that
Oh,
explain anything?
definitely. Yeah, no, it's kind of like using your voice as more as this kind of spiritual practice as well. Like so, like
Yes,
and the voice, so you're connected on a like not is it spiritual level to say? Because
absolutely.
that's like yeah, so like you're grounded and what comes from you flows through you and up through,
Yeah.
and it's powerful, it's empowering. Um, uh, Carol says, excellent liking and explanation. Cool. Thanks,
Yeah.
Carol. Hi, Carol. There.
I want to say one thing about that, which
Mm,
is uh, I see so many vocal coaches, musicians, people telling people that they need to be something. Sing like this
yeah.
person, sing
Yeah,
like this
exactly. That's why I
style.
loved you, though. That's why because you were so different, and it was like, no, you be your voice, because you have your voice. That's so important, and it's kind of what with my inspirational nights that I do and promote, and it's the kind of ethic that I, want to demonstrate with my work, that we have, as individuals, we have the right to be ourselves. You don't have to be that certain someone. You are
Yeah.
you be who you are, and yeah.
Yeah, and it's valid and it's beautiful and
Mm,
it's needed. We need
yeah,
honesty.
so yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
this planet is in such a like deep wound. Like we're just like, they're so, it's, humanity is wounded. We're traumatized from years, hundreds of years of,
Mm.
and I think that what's happening, what I'm seeing, I'm getting chills,
Yeah.
is
Oh.
that I think humanity's recognizing that and looking for ways to heal the trauma, like to
Mm.
heal
Yeah.
the universal spirit and to free ourselves of all the conditioning that we've had over the years. And I'm so excited that I realize that singing is a really important part of that. You know,
Oh
that
God.
like singing is like
Mm.
key. Singing
Yeah.
and writing, like journaling and like being in touch, like being looking in, looking in, looking in. I think
Mm.
it's so important.
I think as well, like with the COVID thing, I don't know about you, but it's really brought you, you know, you've got no control outside of yourself. It's really made it like without having any distractions of what we used to do, and then it kind of just everything just stopped, and everyone, you know, no distractions, nothing. It's just you, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm on my own, and like the singing just made everything because I got more and more into my singing practice, and it was like, oh, it just made everything feel better again, and like to connect that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, mind, body, and soul with that, and it's something that was kind of gave you strength, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
get through those times.
Yeah, that's been my experience over
Mm,
this year for sure. Um, and I, I've had a couple times where I haven't been able to be on at my regular time, and I really
mm,
feel it. Like I really feel like, oh, like I'm not together. And then as soon as I come back and just
mm,
start doing, like, just start with those big deep breaths, it's like something integrates, and
yeah,
it's so simple. It's like
yeah, it's
I spent so much time like being like, oh, I gotta do this or that or this, and it's like, no, I just have to breathe, because, and
yeah,
I think that's why singing is so powerful, because it's breath.
yeah, yeah, controlling your breath, and
Yeah.
you know, yeah, and like you say, it's like it's just so simple, breathing, and how much it can help with your immune system and how you feel. And if you
Yeah.
get your breathing right, and then your voice comes out right, you get your energy right, and it's just like, oh, it's like all I need to do is breathe from the belly.
Yeah. So simple.
Yeah, it's so effective, and yeah, and I noticed as well, like when I've done some meditation workshops, and the power of chanting,
Mm,
people are able to, with the chanting, are able to meditate by chanting a lot easier than visualization.
yeah.
Have you found that in your experience?
That's a really good question. I did some chanting earlier on in my spiritual journey.
Mm,
And I think because I'm a singer and I identify as a singer, it wasn't clean for me.
right.
It was
Okay.
sort of like there was qualitative questions of like, oh God, am I singing into, it's just like all this crap. I think if I did it now, I'd feel different. But I tend to, I'm currently doing like silent meditations, or like guided
Mm,
meditations that are sort of full of affirmations. Because I find that my spirit needs right now just a lot of like reassurance that everything's going to be okay, and that like I'm okay, and that we're
yeah.
okay, and that abundance
Mm,
is possible. Or it's not even possible, it just is. Abundance is, and
mm,
um but I also will say that like I've had experiences recently where I've been in the shower and I feel myself go into a meditative state and I just start singing. And it's like ugly, it's like,
oh.
it's not beautiful. It's just, it's that expressive part. It is actual
Mm,
chanting.
yeah.
Like,
Oh,
it used to
cool.
drive me crazy when you go to a thing and everybody's chanting and it's all like out of tune and like, it's, but now I'm starting to understand that what's important about a chanting practice is not the like
Mm,
tone per se or like the specific note. It's like
mm,
it's really about the connectedness of the tone that you're making to your actual spirit.
yeah.
And that's I've been incorporating into my warm-ups some toning, like breathe and then sing whatever note comes out, whatever vowel comes out. And
Yeah.
I don't know what people are doing on the other end, but that always feels so great to really just like allow no thought, just it's not singing, it's just toning like that. That stuff is so powerful. So
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, definitely. So you're also in a trio. How did that come about? Because that's yeah, that's a lot of yeah, harmonies that you're doing. Some of it's quite Celtic, would you say? Was that?
that's a good, we don't do Celtic music per se.
Mm,
We mostly, so True Life Trios started a little over 10 years ago, which is hard to
okay.
believe, when Julie Grafagna, who used to sing in Kitka, which is the group I currently sing in, and Leslie, Julie wrote to us and was like, hey, I left Kitka and I really miss singing in harmony. Let's get together and like have dinner and walk around the lake and sing and see what happens. And it was
Okay.
awesome. It
Oh
was talk
wow.
about like an organic experience, like we got to sing whatever felt right to us. We got
Mm,
to sing in English, we got to play instruments.
mm,
It was like this, it was a really interesting, because our context was Kitka, which is very specifically Eastern European folk music.
okay.
And yeah, so anyways, the trio started and it's been awesome. We do music from um, the Balkans, we do Cajun music, we do original music. I mean,
Mm,
Balkan music and Cajun music, like who would have thought?
yeah.
But we put our own spin on it. And in fact, over the years, we thought, like, what are we? Like, what are we doing? And, because a lot of groups are like, we are very much this, and this is our niche. But like True Life Trio, our niche is us, like our niche is our blend, our niche is our sound. And the three of our voices are so very different from each other, but so perfectly balanced when it comes to singing
Mm,
together. And there's nothing that I've ever experienced like the trio experience, where it's like each person has real autonomy and responsibility to the music and present. We're really good friends, the three of us. Like we have a
yeah.
great time at rehearsal. I mean, it
Yeah.
hasn't been perfect, but like it's
Mm,
been like it feels like a marriage or like there's just this like holding of each other that's really powerful.
yeah.
Um
That's what you
yeah, it's
need,
really
though, isn't
fun.
it? Yeah, that's what you need, definitely.
Yeah.
So I see that you was that I see that you were part of the what the February album writing month.
Oh
Was
yeah.
this year your first time doing that?
I did it. No, this was not the first time. I did it like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Maybe it was 2019. And I like killed it. I like did the whole thing. I wrote 14 freaking songs. I was like, yeah. And then I
Cool,
did it.
yeah,
Yeah. And this time I did it. I wrote like five, which was cool.
yeah. Well,
But
sometimes it can get you, yeah, like that, can't it? But it's taking part and yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, when was the first time? What date? Sorry, rewind that bit.
I
What
think it
year was
was,
it?
I think it was 2019.
Okay.
It may have been
Yeah.
18, but I think it was 19. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. I loved
Yeah,
it.
it's an amazing experience. I done it.
Have you
I
done
done
it?
it. I think yeah, I done it in 2014.
Okay.
and 2015, and I've done the 14 songs, and you get like good ones and bad ones, but there's still stuff like I on my next release, New Beginnings. That's what on the first batch that I wrote that, so you get really amazing ideas from
Yeah,
that because your
absolutely.
writing I don't know, like your writing process speeds up.
Yeah.
It's like you have to do it so quickly, and then you
Yeah.
haven't got time to think. So it kind of like, so you're pushing that creative musicianship without
Right.
overthinking it. So that's when great ideas start to happen, I think, for songs, because you're not overthinking it. And you did you find that with yours?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I found that um, that happened, but then also like I did have a few days where I got really blocked and I like couldn't figure out what to write
Mm.
about. And what changed it was changing instruments. Like I play guitar and I was like,
Oh,
oh, today I'm going to do the piano and see if that brings something out. And that like totally did. Or like I
yeah,
had this dobro that I wrote on, which was so that was cool. Like it was like, what are the tools that I can use to unlock and unleash the
mm,
creativity? And
yeah.
in fact, I've been thinking about doing a second course called Unleash Your Muse. Um,
Okay.
I haven't quite gotten there yet, but it's an
Mm,
idea that has been with me for a little while to kind of bring in the things that I mean, I'm like a never ending learner. Like I sign up for all sorts of things and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go study with this person. I'm going to do this YouTube tutorial. I'm going to da da da.
yeah.
And
I
I'd
feel
like
you.
to sort of bring in the things that really work for me and really resonate.
Mm,
Because I do think that writing is like one of the most important practices on the planet.
mm.
you know.
Oh, definitely, definitely. There's something about as well. I don't know about you, but do you like? I really love writing with a pen, a really lovely
Mm,
pen that flows,
yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
paper, kind of old fashioned. But there's something about writing on just pen and paper. Like we're saying, like the simplicity of that, and it just kind of flows, and you kind of just let it go, and you're kind of working with maybe your higher self, like if you're connection, because if you connect with your breath, and kind
Yeah.
of you can even get into a trance if you wanted to, or just write down whatever comes naturally.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah. Writing is the best. I'm so grateful that I let myself do it at a young age. And it's hard. It's not like it's humbling. It's like
Mm, definitely.
it's sometimes I find it's challenging to find the words. Like I'm a little bit better at writing or like writing music comes a
Mm,
little bit more easily, like just making things
right.
up, improvising, like and I actually saw this person, I'm really active on TikTok right now. Like who would
Okay.
have thought? Oh my god.
TikTok's amazing.
Oh my god. I'm like, how did I not know about this freaking app? Or like why was I so resistant to it? But
Yeah.
it's really inspiring and there was this one
Definitely.
creator that I saw who was talking about a really great way to write songs is
Mm,
just to like hum the melody or like sing a melody without any words first and just sort of
okay.
just like make
Mm,
something up that's just melody. And I was like, that's awesome, because I find that sometimes I'll stop my melodic creation because I'm worried about the lyrics or like the lyrics aren't coming or
mm.
the lyrics stop at some point because it's like I need a little more time to actually shape the thought and the idea
Yeah,
and I
yeah, yeah,
get
yeah.
really impatient. So it was cool. I was really yeah, I was really excited to hear that.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
I was just looking at the chat over here.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't make out, Carol, what you you are actually in the story. Not sure what you mean. Can you clarify if you're still watching? Um, yeah, so so I think I've covered everything. But yeah, with the writing process, definitely. it's like shaping. I don't know. Do you get? Sometimes I struggle with second verse.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to like I write verses first. Like that it
Okay.
always starts at the verse for me
Oh
for some
right.
reason. Like
Okay.
the
Yeah.
songs start at the beginning. But what I've actually realized recently is that maybe it doesn't start at the beginning. Maybe I'm just assuming
Mm.
it's the beginning. And so I've been kind of looking at that and thinking about, I mean, the thing that's cool about songwriting is it's up to you, right? Like
Yeah.
you can, if there's something that feels like a hook, like I tend to be like, oh, the hook is right at the beginning because I want to hook people in. But I don't know. I think that could be wrong. Um, but yeah,
Uh,
this the
that's
second verse
okay.
stuff.
Mm.
Oh, go
No,
ahead.
the hook. You do want to hook them in quite quick.
Right. You do.
uh,
Yeah, and then the other thing I want to say is I took this sort of songwriting lesson with a really cool coach. Her name is Susan Koch, and um, her one of the tools that she puts out there is to write a song in 20 minutes every day.
okay.
Like just 20-minute write a song.
See.
And
Ooh.
I think I started doing it before my move, and it was really I was like, oh, this is cool. Like this is interesting because it really doesn't give you time to like get stuck on
Mm.
anything. Like you just have to write.
20
Most of it's going to be
minutes.
crap. Like you just put it out there because somebody I've heard a lot lately. Like you have to write the crap. You just got to write the crap, write the crap, write the crap because underneath the crap
Mm.
is the fertile soil, right?
Yeah, a little diamond waiting,
Yeah,
shining on
exactly.
you.
Exactly. And that's like, as a writer, that's so hard to accept. Like, oh, I got to
Mm.
write bad stuff. Shoot.
Yeah, I think as well, like, because we're so busy, you can judge yourself so harshly that you
Exactly.
kind of have to overcome, and it's a good way, a good practice, if you like, to kind of overcome your, right, I'm going to be comfortable with my crapness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that's probably, once you're comfortable with letting it all out, then then the great stuff will come flow because you're not going, oh, criticizing every little bit that you're doing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that works. Yeah, cool. So do you find like sometimes, because I feel like I've got so many songs that I want to record and get finished, that like something like that would scare me at the moment because I'm like, oh God, all these little ideas just floating around. How do you control that? So
I
or
don't
do
think
you
you
find
do.
no? Is
I
that
mean, I have so many, like my phone is full of ideas and
mm,
tryings and like, okay, here's this thing, here's that thing, here's this thing, here's that thing. And I think like we can all come up with our own systems for tracking what's happening. Like, oh, I wrote something on this, like, having a journal, like, okay, go back to this. Like if you write something
mm,
that's great, you like note it, you know. And
yeah.
um yeah, I think I think the point of it is less about control and produce like the other thing I've been hearing a lot about on TikTok is like at
Okay.
what point do we start to create just for the sake of creation and
Mm,
not for the like eventual release of it? And I think that's really something I struggle with of like, oh, am I writing something that's commercial or am I writing
mm,
something that I just freaking need to write? Like I have so much stuff that's happened to me over the last 18 months that like I have to write about it. And like I
yeah.
don't really want people to it's going to be so vulnerable and fragile
Mm,
that like if I start being like is this a commercial thing? I'll stop
yeah.
myself from writing it
Yeah.
and I'll miss the point
Yeah.
of what writing is for.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you do need to, I think there's a truth that you need to kind of um come into to write a really good song, and I think, like all the great songs come from that inner truth, don't they? And that
Yeah.
Yeah, and then if it's something that we don't know, then not, if it's not going to mean anything to us, then how can it mean anything to someone else, you know?
Yeah. And then the other thing, I'll say, I know I got to hop off in just a minute, but
Yeah, of course.
the other thing I wanted to say was I read something recently that was talking, Leonard Cohen was talking about how
Uh,
he wrote Hallelujah, which
mm,
is like, you know, one of the best songs of all time. That song took him years to write. So, like, that song
yeah, right.
started as an idea.
Mm,
That song probably started as a 20-minute writing session,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah, right.
And he was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm onto something. I'll come back to this. And he came back to it
Mm,
and came back to it. He wrote it over 4 years or something, you
wow.
know? And like,
Yeah.
and that was just like, wow. I put so much pressure on myself to complete things and release things and da da da. And it's like, what if
Mm,
we removed the pressure? Like, what if we really were with the
yeah.
art and gave the art the respect and the room that it needs to grow?
Yeah, lovely.
That's my
Yeah.
current question.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. It's just giving yourself that chance and yeah, that like you say, that space to
Yeah.
yeah, just to go forth and do it. So on that note, I think we'll round it up there because that's kind of a nice way, you know, it's just yeah, stay creative, isn't it? And just let it flow, let it go.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
Exactly.
it's been such a pleasure. Absolute pleasure to have you on my first inspirational Sunday session.
I wish you so much success and lots of
Yeah.
inspiration. And thank you so much for inviting me on.
Oh,
I'm
you're
really
welcome.
glad to
Yeah,
be
thank
here.
yeah, yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I'll let you get to your lesson and yeah, so yeah. Okay,
cool.
Bridget, yeah, thank you. So I'll say goodbye to you now.
Take
Uh,
care.
take care, thank you. Oh, I just right, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Bridget Boyle, and it was my first show, and we're on next week. Oh, so if you want to see any of Bridget's work, I'll put it in the links below, and I'm going to make this into a podcast, but that might be a future down the line if you just want to listen to that another time. Also, so next week I'll be at the same time, 7:30, with my guest Talia, who's also doing lots of projects um, that she's going to tell us about, and she's an accordion player, and she's starting her musical journey in songwriting. So we'll be talking lots about songwriting and the journey of that. So yeah, if you enjoyed this, please feel free to share and subscribe and all the rest of it. So yeah, have fun being creative. All right, thanks for joining, Carol and Paul and Sue. Thank you, darling, and see you soon. All right, bye for now. Take care.